Pay attention to each one, correct these, and then you're gonna be on the right path to building more muscle. Hey man, Gary Walker here, and welcome back for another video. When it comes to building muscle, there are a lot of mistakes I see men make constantly, especially men over 40. In this video, I'm gonna give you the 7 deadly sins of muscle building after 40. And if you're doing these things, you're gonna find it extremely difficult building any muscle at all. Number 1, cardio before workouts. Now, I'm not talking about light cardiovascular warm-ups. I always recommend at least a 5 to 10 minute warm-up to get your body primed for the workout. The 2 things I see all too often though is men doing a HIIT session or a 20+ minute cardio session. When your main goal is building muscle, you need to limit your cardio as much as possible. I would still want you to do a short warm-up for blood flow and heart health prior to each workout, but no more than that. All right, that leads me to number 2 on my list. That's eating too little. This is by far the most common mistake I'm seeing in most men over 40, especially with the popularity of intermittent fasting, all right? Here's the thing when it comes to intermittent fasting. Yeah, there are some benefits to doing it, but it's not necessarily right for everyone, all right? Here's what happens when you're trying to build muscle. When you're trying to build muscle, you need food and you need to be eating in a caloric surplus. That's how your body's going to grow. It needs to have that extra nutrition to pull the nutrients from, especially protein, complex carbs, and some essential fats, all right? Your body needs food. It needs nutrients, it needs nutrition, and you need those things not just 1 or 2 days a week. You need to eat in a caloric surplus consistently for your body to maximize its muscle potential, all right? So again, because you need higher energy levels, you need your testosterone levels to be maximized, your growth hormone levels to be good, cortisol levels to be down. So there's a lot of factors involved. And if you're not getting enough food, it's gonna be really hard to get any benefits at all when it comes to muscle gains. All right, tip number 3 is training with too little intensity. All right, here's the thing I really wanna point out, because if you watched any of my videos, you probably see me say, you can build more muscle with light weight. You don't need heavy weight. Here's the thing when it comes to that. Yeah, that's the truth, but you still need to work out with intensity. So when I say light weights, I'm talking about weights that can be lifted within the 12 to 15 rep range, and that's typically the lightest you wanna go. So if we're going with the bench press, because you wanna grow your chest, all right? Basically what I'm saying is, if I have 12 to 15 rep range, you need to do 4 sets in the 12 to 15 rep range. That doesn't mean stop at 12 to 15 with a weight if it's light enough for you to do 20 reps. That's another one of the biggest issues I see when I'm talking to some of my clients. When they come into my program, I'm blown away at what they have been doing. And a lot of it has to do with some confusion maybe with the wording that's across the fitness industry, all right? So you still need some intensity. You still need to push yourself. You still need to challenge yourself. And yes, that means with heavier weights. That doesn't mean heavy weight. Heavy is relative, all right? So when I say you don't need heavy weight, what I'm talking about is you don't need to work out within the 4 to 7 rep range. That's considered heavy. So that means if for you to fail in the 4 to 7 rep range, if that takes you 60-pound dumbbells, you don't need to go that heavy. I'd rather get 40 or 45-pound dumbbells and then push yourself to where muscle failure is within the 12 to 15 rep range. So that's the weight you need to choose. So yeah, you see what I'm talking about. That weight is gonna be lighter than the weight that you're filling with the 4 to 7 reps, all right? But that doesn't mean go grab 15-pound dumbbells and just rep it out. That's not gonna get you the muscle gaining results you're looking for. So yes, you gotta lift with intensity, all right? Push yourself and challenge yourself with each and every workout, and then you've gotta make some type of improvements, either workout to workout or every other workout, all right? Meaning, if you use 25 pounds and you failed at 12 reps, the next week, try to fail at 13, 14, or 15 reps. Get up to the 15 rep range with that same weight. All right, and then once you're failing at 15 reps, you've got a 3 rep improvement from the first workout. Then the next step is add 5 pounds. If you have 2.5 pound increments, even better. But add a little bit of weight, and that generally is gonna get you back into failing within the 12 rep range. All right, so hopefully that makes sense, because I did wanna clarify that, because there is a lot of videos out there about lifting lighter weight versus heavy weight for muscle gains, and I'm one of the biggest advocates of that, all right? Because yes, you can build muscle using lighter weights, all right? But again, light, heavy, it's all relative. You still need to push yourself. Now, number 4 is focusing on the wrong exercises. All right, when you're trying to build, you need to do some compound multi-joint exercises, meaning some type of squat variation. You don't have to just load up the barbell and do back squats. You don't have to do those types of squats, all right? But you can do goblet squats, you can do dumbbell squats, you can do front squats, landmine squats. A lot of things you can do, even Bulgarian split squats or lunges. You just want to do some type of multi-joint movement for most of your exercises. Why? Because your body's also going to produce more testosterone when you do those exercises. And what do I mean by a multi-joint? When you're doing, let's say, a goblet squat, you're doing a goblet squat, the first thing that happens is you're going to hip hinge. You're going to bend your hips and you're going to sink down, all right? So your hips are working and your knees are working. 2 joints are forced to work to get the weight down in the stretch position and then also back up into the shortened or contracted position. All right, so those are gonna be your bigger bang for your buck exercises. So let's compare that to an isolation exercise. Isolation exercise would be leg extensions or just leg curls. All right, so yeah, you can still do some of the isolation exercises. You can still do those extensions, but those shouldn't be the focus of your workout. You wanna maximize your compound movements first. So do the squats, do the Bulgarian split squats. Once you've done those, then you can finish off with some isolation exercises, all right? And now let's take an upper body example. So bench press, you wanna do some form of bench press. Incline press, flat bench press, anything like that with dumbbells, all right? I usually recommend dumbbells or even plate loaded stuff if you're in the gym, like the hammer strength stuff. All right, so that's a multi-joint exercise. Your elbows are bending, shoulders are bending, so 2 joints are working to move the weight. All right, now what is that compared to? An isolation exercise is a fly. You're only working, the only joint moving is the shoulder joint, all right? That's a single joint exercise. So when you're pushing that heavier weight, testosterone is going through the roof. You're also maximizing and firing more muscle fiber, so it's gonna lead to more chest growth compared to the dumbbell flies or cable flies, whichever fly you prefer. Again, still do the flies. I still recommend those exercises, but if your whole workout is composed of leg extensions and flies and dumbbell curls and tricep extensions and things like that, you're not gonna get the same results, all right? Compared to doing some back rows and some squats and some bench presses, some pull-ups or pull-downs, all right? You wanna make sure you're doing a lot of those exercises, shoulder presses more so than just the lateral raises. So incorporate those multi-joint exercises. Those are the right exercises for maximizing your testosterone production, even your growth hormone, and that's gonna lead to more muscle growth. All right, number 5 is resting too little between sets. All right, so when your goal is losing weight, then I like to increase intensity. I like to do giant sets, tri-sets, supersets, which needs very little rest between exercises, all right? But now that your goal is building muscle, it's completely opposite. You wanna be almost fully recovered from set to set. That way you can push more weight. So you wanna increase the load, and by doing that, you have to rest more. So instead of the 30-second to 60-second rest between sets, typically minimum for muscle growth is gonna be 90 seconds. All right, I'll even recommend all the way up to 3 minutes per set. It just depends on your conditioning, all right? Once you get more conditioned and you're still getting stronger, then we can cut down into the rest periods. But 90 seconds up to 3 minutes, that's gonna be paramount for getting stronger within the compound movements. All right, and going back to compound versus isolation, when you're doing leg extensions, leg curls, lateral raises, dumbbell curls, you don't need as much rest between those because those are single joint exercises that don't require near as much work to perform or execute those, all right? But when we're doing compound movements, you're gonna notice you're out of breath, your lungs are working, your cardiovascular system is working, all right? There's a lot going on when you're moving that extra weight. So that's a big difference. So make sure you're resting enough between sets. All right, now that kind of leads me to number 6. Number 6 is ignoring joint pain. All right, here's why that kind of leads me to it, because if you're training hard for a while and maybe your rest periods are really short, you're not allowing for adequate recovery between sets, initially you're gonna be okay. But what tends to happen when you don't fully recover is you start getting little irritations within the joints. You don't always feel it initially, all right? That's the problem. So, but when you do that consistently, say over 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, eventually you're gonna get a nagging joint pain and you're gonna think it's from the previous workout. That's the biggest thing I always see. Somebody tells me, hey, I just worked out tonight and I did something wrong, my shoulder's messed up. Unless you went crazy and your form was out of whack, then usually that previous workout isn't what caused that pain, that joint issue, all right? A lot of times it's developed over time. So that's where you want to make sure you are paying attention to what's going on within your body and strictly form. Form has to be crucial. So that goes back to the rest. So again, if you're resting 90 seconds and you think, you know what, I'm still strong, well, you're struggling way too much, your form is suffering a little bit, then you want to bump up from the 90 seconds to 2 minutes. Try 2 minutes and see if you can perfect that form, get that form back again, because form is going to be crucial with all compound movements, because if you are off somewhere, it can lead to a joint pain or a joint irritation, a joint issue that will linger for a long time, and that can set you back for months. All right, I've seen joint issues set men back for 6 or 7 months, really. So you gotta pay attention to your joint pain. All right, so make sure everything is being done correctly within your workouts. Just really pay attention to what you're doing. All right, now number 7, the 7th deadly sin is not prioritizing recovery after workouts. Yes, thinking 4 days a week is gonna get decent results, but 6 days is gonna get better is the wrong way to think. All right, that is 18-year-old, 25-year-old, maybe even a few 30-year-old thinking. All right, because here's the thing. As a man over 40, recovery levels nowhere near where they used to be. So you gotta prioritize off days and sleep. That's what I mean about recovery, all right? So you wanna prioritize those two, but when I say after workout recovery, the next thing I'm talking about is nutrition. All right, so especially when your goal is building more muscle. All right, so when you want to build more muscle, you want to make sure you are giving your body the nutrition it needs, the nutrients it needs from protein. Post-workout, I still like doing carbohydrates. All right, so I like to add carbs before my workout for fuel. I like to add carbs after my workout for recovery. All right, so I like carbs at those 2 times, and then I also like my protein. So if you want a protein to eat, just eat a lean protein after your workouts, or you can have a protein shake. Whey protein, beef protein, any type of isolate is gonna be fine, but do that to prioritize your recovery immediately after your workouts, and that's gonna make a massive difference. So if you're doing those 7 things, all right, if you're doing any of the 7 things that I mentioned, then you wanna get away from all of them eventually, but even a few at a time, all right? Pay attention to each one, correct these, and then you're gonna be on the right path to building more muscle, because at the end of the day, you gotta be smart, all right? You still need to train hard, but you gotta train smart. You gotta do that day in, day out, week in, week out, prioritize these things, and if you're 40, 50, 60, even 70-year-old, you're gonna be able to build lean muscle tissue, maintain lean muscle tissue, and those are crucial because as older men, naturally what we tend to start experiencing is something called sarcopenia, which is just naturally aging muscle loss, all right? And it's not just because we get older. Typically what happens is as we get older, you get less active, you don't eat as much food, and things like that is what leads to muscle breakdown, muscle deterioration, not just the actual age itself, all right? So I hope you like this video. And all right, and thank you for watching this video. I hope you liked the video, and as always, get busy, get after it, and God bless.